Hello, awesome people. I hope you all are having just a majestically awesome day today. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 1984 role-playing game called Middle-earth Role-Playing First Edition by Iron Crown Enterprises for you folks. And so we're going to be taking a look at this and so forth. Now, as a reminder, I do like Dungeons & Dragons stuff, obviously, other role-playing games and so forth. But basically, what was happening at the time, I was in fifth grade, and I was playing Backme as a student, as a gamer, not as the guy running it. The guy running it was a guy named Josh, and we were great stuff together. We would do it at the end of our class. It got into two of us at the end of the stuff we were using. The In Search of Adventure rules, and we weren't kind of using expert or companion. We were just using the basic rules and so forth. At that time, I was a younger character. We created our characters. We were running it and having a lot of fun and so forth. Over the summer, I went to our local Walden bookstore at a mall, at the Canal Mall, and then I saw that there was this role-playing game called Middle-earth Role-Playing Game. So I picked it up, I read it, I thought, this sounds really, really cool. I can't wait to run it with Josh when we get back and be the game master this time. Instead of him being the dungeon master running it, I thought that would be a lot of fun. And so forth. I was really looking forward to running this, and so forth. I just finished the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit before that summer, and then I read the Lord of the Rings that summer between my 5th and 6th grade years, if you'll recall, and loved it so much. And sort of put me on the map. I considered the Lord of the Rings my first adult read, and then I started reading some other adult stuff here and there too, if you'll recall. From Anne McCaffrey's The Dragon Riders of Pern to Fred Saberhagen's The Book of Chronicle Swords. Loved it much. So basically the idea here was that I was going to run this and so forth. It was the first place I was going to run the first rules that I read, because I didn't read the rules in back. Josh had those. I was just a player. So I thought this would be fun stuff, and then found out like he was going to be leaving in a couple of weeks after classes started. And that was sad, because we couldn't run MERP. I was in rural West Virginia. Who was I going to run this with? So no one. I was very sad about that. So I sold it for a while and such. But that was my MERP experience. And then I found some people to play Dungeons & Dragons with again, with Backme, and then first edition, second edition, and so forth. And then other stuff too. Now I have an active 5th edition campaign. So good stuff. But yeah, so I've read it. I soloed it. I created some characters for it, and I was ready to run it. Thought it was really fun stuff. But then, unfortunately, it just didn't happen. So today, we're going to do a review of MERP for you folks. Now, so basically, first edition for you folks. Now, if you're not interested and such. Now, this is a dead game and so forth. It's in the second edition now. Anyway, the company has been purchased, and they've lost the rights to the Middle-earth side of things. So just a heads up, you would have to buy it from older stuff, from second stuff. But I think it'd be fun to do a throwback sort of review of some of these older RPGs that you might have heard about or never actually heard about from 1984 MERP, published by Iron Crown Enterprises in Alexandria, Virginia. So let's take a look and see what I think about it. All right, so basically what's happening in this is that you have a character sheet. There's a little more detailed than our character sheet from Dungeons & Dragons. You basically are rolling stats on a die 100 instead of 3 die 6s. And then you're generating them off a d100 and so forth, and they'll have different bonuses. And you're basically rounding it out in here. Instead of +1s to things, like +1 bonuses to this or +2 bonuses, you're going to do them in numbers of 5. And you're just going to have a d100 be everything. You're not going to have d20s, you're not going to have d10s, d12s. Everything is a die 100, from rolling to see if something happened successfully on a skill check, for combat, and rolling to attack. Everything was on a d100, which I thought was really good. It was very simple. All you needed was 2 dice, 2 d100 dice, and that was it. So I like that a lot better than at the time. And even d20s eras, the 3rd and 4th and 5th edition that have moved into this, they still roll other dice for damage. They'll roll other dice for things like that, but you don't hear in Middle-earth Role-Playing. 1 die, and that's it. I thought that's nice, right? Well, I think it really helps save you on some dice orders. Right? You don't need the dice makers, it's sad. But there you go. So basically, You'll roll the dice and you'll get the results. So basically, and then one of the things I like about this is that there is something in here called an open gaming roll for you folks. It's an OGL for short, and if there's a die roll is an OGL, like an attack roll or a skill check, you'll roll a die 100, and then if you get a 96 to 100, you'll roll it again and add this to your total. And if you roll a 96 to 100 again, you'll add it again. You'll just keep rolling until you stop rolling them. And then that will be your result. So it's very, very possible that somebody who couldn't normally hit somebody with a big high armor class in Dungeons & Dragons can't. Right, and they can do it absolutely, possibly. And then there's also a critical failure too. If you roll a 1 through a 5, you'll reroll it and subtract it. And if what you roll is 96 to 100, again, you'll keep adding and keep subtracting it until you get your final roll. Love it lots. I thought it was pretty good stuff. So that's basically the idea. Now, you have different combat charts that you roll on for combat. So, for example, if I roll a D100 and I get a 76, then I'll add my offensive bonuses, which I might get from my abilities in that sword or weapon or missile or spell. And then I'll subtract their armor and such. That's called the defensive bonus, and so forth. Their DB. And then what I get after adding those is my resulting number. And then I look up that number on a chart, and it'll tell me how much damage I'm going to deal, and if there's a critical. And if there is a critical, if there's a secondary critical, if it's a high enough one. So for example, let's say I toss a 76, right? And let's say my offensive bonus is a 40, the defensive bonus is a 20, so the total is a plus 20. So I'll add plus 20 to that. That's a 96, and 96 is another result. That's probably going to be pretty good, right? It's probably going to do a lot of damage. Probably have a couple, maybe even be good enough for 2 criticals, like maybe a B and a D critical or something like that. I'll look it up. Each weapon type has their own chart to roll on, and you'll roll against different armor classes. So some armor might take more damage, but less criticals. That sort of thing, just based on what kind of thing. Good stuff. So that's how it works. So you roll it, you get your damage, and then you roll a critical. If there was a critical, again, die 100. And then you'll find out how much damage you do or what kind of things may happen, right? It might cause them to bleed, and they'll take damage every turn until they repair it, right? Or they may have an injured leg, right? Some sorts of thing. Or it might just be some extra damage. It's called an endurance damage too. And so forth. Also, you're given skills here with skill ranks starting at 1 through something. And the more ranks you have, the more bonuses you get, plus 5. If you don't have any skills in it, then when you do it, you're going to have a 9 assist to try it instead. Right, there's going to be a lot of things like tracking, that sort of thing here, and so forth. Good stuff. Loves it lots. Middle Earth role playing for you folks. MERP, otherwise short by Ironclad Enterprises in 1984 for you folks. What I don't like about this, and what the reason why it's so lots, because Middle Earth role playing, right? Definitely wasn't on board for a lot of people, but it wasn't flavorful, right? It didn't say, okay, so what does the world of Tolkien have, and does it resonate with that? It's a good game, sure, but it's not resonant to the Tolkien world reviews, right? Its mechanics, while great and very specific, aren't Middle Earth mechanics. They're just mechanics, right? And so forth, and they'll correct that in the Middle Earth collectible card game, where every single mechanic is a Middle Earth mechanic, right? For example, there are sites that you can go to. You can only recruit people from sites or havens. So, for example, like Bilbo, just like you can recruit them from a haven like Ravendale, or his home site back end. But that's it, right? See how that makes sense for that character, right? And so every mechanic makes flavorful sense in the Middle Earth card game. But here, it's just a good game, but it's not a flavorful that made so a lot of money. But it's not a Middle Earth game. Make sense? I think that's one of its issues that it had in resonating past the initial parts and so forth. And so it doesn't have, as deep a dive. So it has classes like Animists, like wizards, like Gandalf Animist, like Radagast the Brown, and stuff like that. It's got the scouts and rangers, warriors, and stuff like that. But it doesn't have the traditional sort of a cleric role that Animus kind of plays it. And you get different skill lists that you can get access to. different characters can get access to different skill lists. And if you want a skill list in your warrior or scout, you can. You're just going to spend more character points to get them. But you totally can, no issues. Which I like. And then which skill list you get has different elements. And animists and wizards can get different skills lists at different levels of character points. And so forth, which I like. And then as you level up, the skills will have higher and higher things you can do in that skill list too. Spell list too. Love it much. I love that central concept too. So you might too. So there you are. That's my review of Middle-earth role-playing for you. Folks, I'm probably going to give it an 8 out of 10. It was a great run. While it has a couple additions as a result, but ultimately the mechanics, while a little complex or different and a good game, they just don't reflect the world of Middle-earth. But it's named after for you folks, and it's lost its license for the RPG too. So from Tolkien Enterprises. So there you are. Have you read it, played it, and run or just ran it as a DM? Sorry, GM, or played it as a player, or just read it. And so forth. There's a lot of supplements for it that came out both before and afterwards. Set Middle-earth, like Northern Mirkwood and stuff you could buy. So there you are. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. Just let me know your thoughts in the comments below, please, and such. And then finally, if you like this video, why not hit the subscribe button, the like button, the bell icon if you're feeling frisky, and unless your friends know Middle-earth friends, Middle-earth role-playing friends, right? RPG friends. You may not have ever heard of us, fantasy friends, right? And so forth. As a reminder, this channel's name is The Worst Thing About New Books. And that's a quote by a French philosopher named Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them, it was they kept us from reading the old ones, right? And it's definitely older stuff that we might not have forgot about, and so forth, but was heavily sold at the time, 1984. And then finally, I just want to thank you so much, for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video, right? Because we all have so many things that are happening, right, in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it much. So once again, have a great day, and thanks for your time.